I'm Д.Мэдисоном. Welcome to Revelations episode 7. If you don't know what Revelations is yet, this is my personal platform that puts me in direct contact with you so that I can share with you news from Ellusionist and news from my own personal shenanigans. In this week's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you a subtlety that I applied to my push through shuffle. But before we get to that, let's take a look at the blue LTD deck. The blue LTD deck was exclusive to the Black Club for 24 hours and then it went on general sale. Everybody wants these playing cards and it's easy to see why. It's a beautiful deck of playing cards. Go to the website, check out the amazing trailer. We also put out an incredible effect this week called Invisible by David Savina. If you've not seen it, you must see the trailer. The Blackpool Convention 2013 is almost here. It starts on the 22nd of February. Why am I telling you this? Well, Pete and I will be there looking for new artists, new talent and new tricks. If you think you've got something that would work well with Ellusionist, it's a perfect opportunity to show us live in person. We'll be very easy to find and we'll look forward to seeing you there. I'm going to try not to tease you too much with projects that I can't talk about, but I am going to show you a few images from a project that we worked on recently that is in the works. Stay tuned, this is coming very, very soon. Okay, the push through shuffle. I'm not going to teach you this shuffle in any kind of intricate detail. I'm going to assume that you already know how to do it. If you don't know how to do it, there's so many places that you can learn this from. It is basically a false table shuffle. And there is something that I really do not like about the push through shuffle when I see other people doing it. So I'm going to show you a subtlety that I add to the push through shuffle that I've never seen anybody else do. But first, before I show you that, I'm going to show you what I think is wrong with the push through shuffle. I'll show you first before talking you through it. So this is the push through shuffle. What was wrong with that? When you review the push through shuffle, just the basic shuffle and then separation, the thing that I find wrong with it is that most people, when they get to the stage where they have to separate the packets, they separate them too quickly, I find, and it becomes an obvious thing. Now the problem with this, I think, comes from the move being taught by magicians who haven't really paid attention to the subtleties. So the real shuffle would look like this, and they're pushed together and the deck would be left. Because that's a real shuffle, it's a proper shuffle. The problem with the push through shuffle is, because you've pushed one packet through the other, you're left with this. And I think that's why most people rush to pull this packet out and get it back on top, because they feel like they have to. Because in their minds, when most people learn the push through shuffle, they learn that stripping out and putting it back on top is a part of the same shuffle. Yes, it's a part of the same process, but it's not a part of the same shuffle, because from a layperson, from a victim or a spectator, the shuffle ends when the cards are pushed together. What happens next is seen, or should be seen, as a separate shuffle, not the same thing. My subtlety is this, and I do this every time I do the push through shuffle, because I believe that that subtle importance of making this look like two separate shuffles allows the spectator, allows the victim to break apart the fact that any deception took place whatsoever. I think when you get to this point where the packets have been pushed through each other, this is where you need to pause and end the shuffle. In the spectator's mind, only in the victim's mind, that is where the shuffle stops. So we do the push through, we riffle them together and the push through, and now I pause and I wait for maybe a second or two, and then I go in as if it's a separate shuffle and I stop and pause again. That now looks like two separate shuffles. So here's what I do. Here's the separation, and then the riffle, the push through. I now pause here, and so that I'm not just completely still, with both thumbs at the back, I riffle up. Now this kind of puts an idea in the spectator's mind that you've finished that part of the shuffle, because when you finish that kind of shuffle, you straighten up the cards. And that almost suggests to the spectator that I'm squaring up the deck, or I'm cleaning up the deck, because I've finished that riffling shuffle. So once I've done that, that gives me enough time. It gives me maybe 1 second, maybe 2 seconds of just kind of stillness. There's no pulling, there's no pushing. I'm just straightening up the deck because I've just shuffled. Now I go into the second shuffle. in the spectator's mind, this is a second shuffle. It's not actually a shuffle, it's a running cut. So I just take these back out and put them on top, and then I do a running cut. It's not necessarily going to change your life or change the way that you handle cards, and you may not see it as an important thing, but I know from experience inside and outside of the industry, that the subtle things like that are more important than the big things, and you have to learn from the right places. And you have to imagine, what I do is I imagine that I'm playing myself, that I'm trying to fool myself, because if I can fool myself, then I can fool the hell out of everybody else. And the subtlety that I added to this comes from, not from the magic industry, but from the card table. If somebody took the push through shuffle, the way it's been taught at the minute, with the rush separation, with this, where the cards are pulled straight out without a pause, if somebody took that to a card table, then they would get caught. And I guess the lesson that I'm trying to teach, or the message that I'm trying to give right now, is that you should pay attention to every minute detail and every subtlety about everything that you do. The way that you deal cards, the way that you do a push through shuffle, the way that you cut the deck. Just because you learned something from a notable person or a notable place, it doesn't mean that it's 100% right. Just because you learn it move by move, inch by inch, millimeter by millimeter from a renowned artist or a renowned person, you have to look at it in the mirror and you have to scrutinize your own moves, and you've got to be relentless with yourself regardless of where you learn it from and regardless of how pristine or clean it might be. You have to be honest with yourself, and you've got to look at every single part of it and say, would this fool me? Would I be able to cheat myself with this move? And if the answer is no, then you have to clean it up. If there's one millimeter of discrepancy in your mind, you can't just settle for it. You've got to keep developing and keep working on sharpening up what you're doing. That's just my opinion and my advice. Whether you take it and listen to it is up to you. That was Revelations episode 7. Today is the 14th of February, so happy Valentine's Day to everybody watching. I am Д.Мэдисон, and I will see you next Thursday.